Guys, and welcome back. Happy Wednesday as you're listening to this. I am tired. It is a tired day. I have a iced coffee. This is my second because
Mm.
we need energy. Like I'm V tired. What about you? What are the vibes you're bringing today?
Well, I'm on coffee number three. Don't tell my coach. Um, but
If
coffee
you're
has like
listening to this, no, you're not.
no, but coffee has like literally no effect on me. So I
Yeah.
could drink like 10 and go to bed. So it's not a matter of like, I need energy. It's like a matter of like, I just want to taste good
Mm.
things.
It's like low key for the vibes,
hmm
which
hmm
this is why I have to drink like decaf a lot of the times because I get too crazed up on the coffee. I get like way too anxious. I also love Red Bull. Like a sugar-free Red Bull is the way to my heart.
Ugh,
If they made those like obviously that would like defeat the purpose, but if they made them like with no caffeine,
non-caffeine.
I would still drink them because I genuinely like the taste. So I usually hit like the 8 ounce because that's like I think equivalent to like a cup of coffee. So
Hmm. I
then
I
it
would
does, yeah.
assume they make non-caffeinated, right?
Non-caffeinated energy drinks?
Yeah, if you like you said, I don't know. I feel like it's a demographic for that.
There might be, but then I feel like it would just be like kind of like a sody or like just like a tea or something. Like
Mm.
I if I'm like needing a vibe, I go for a Topo Chico. Like in the bottle, it's iconic. Like I feel like I'm doing something. I feel like I'm that girl versus just like drinking out of my like Sherwin-Williams water bottle. Shout out to James. Like, you know what I mean? There is a
Yeah,
big difference.
yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I like like even I'll make like my sister they got in the apartment they live in. They like gave them like a big like like one of these guys, but like
Yeah.
shaped a little bit differently, like the ones that like everyone buys on TikTok, essentially.
Does it say like the
Remember?
logo or like the name of the apartment?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had that too.
But I know they do. But I was drinking iced coffee out of there, and it's like huge, and I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, it's like such a vibe.
Yeah. Like honestly, I've been saying this, but like you got to romanticize your life in any way you can. And like if that
Yep.
means you make your coffee a little bit cuter and like you
Mhm.
put it in a fun cup, like go off. Because I went to Dunkin' Donuts the other day and like Dunkin' Donuts is trash. I don't like it, but I needed to
Same.
go through the drive-through. Like it was hot as balls. I was not getting out of the car. Hashtag being lazy. It tasted like actual burnt poop.
Oh, what'd you get?
I just got an iced coffee. I got almond milk and I got which sometimes sugar-free flavorings are not good, like totally. But
Mhm.
I never thought theirs tasted that bad. I got like a
Mhm.
blueberry, like sugar-free flavor shot, and it's
Oh.
normally pretty fire. But I couldn't even taste the blueberry. All I could taste was like it was like burnt coffee. Like I feel like they just burnt it. It was old. They're just like, all right, let's make this iced. It was gross.
Mm. Yeah,
But I
that's
stand on
nasty.
I stand on a principle. If I paid $4 for it, I'm gonna drink it. Unfortunately.
Yeah, same. Joel always makes fun of me because like if I buy something, even if I'm like not in love with it, I will finish it like no
Yes.
matter what. Like
Yes.
I think that's like my upbringing. My dad like would not let us waste anything. So I'm like,
Yeah.
mold, chop it off and keep eating.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's funny. My mom would totally be I called her. I was like appalled. I was like, this coffee is fucked. And she's like, just throw it out. And I'm like, I can't. On principle, I can't. She's like, why? And I'm like, because like not that $4 is like a lot of money. I mean, I think it's kind of a lot of money for a coffee that's like fucking
Mm,
mid. Like it
mm,
wasn't a latte. It was like a fucking stupid ass iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. All right.
mhm.
On principle though, I'm like drinking it and I'm like, oh, this tastes gross. Oh, this tastes gross. Like actively
I
saying out loud, this is
I
disgusting.
know. I probably would have taken it back and been like, listen, this tastes like absolute disgustingness.
No, 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 no. Never with food. They might spit
Why?
in it.
Yeah. I mean, you
My
can literally
dad
watch them make it.
No, girl, they have their back turned, okay? It
Okay,
could
and what
be.
happened with dad?
He got sometimes he can be an asshole. Like and we tell him all the time, we're like, you have no fucking manners. Sometimes you're rude as hell. And he's like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, you old man. He got a coffee somewhere once and he was probably being rude. Now, I wasn't there, but I can say 90% he was probably being rude. He opened it up to put more sugar in it, and there was a loogie in the coffee.
So what do you do?
Oh, well, he just threw it out. He was like, I can't fucking go back and get another one. Like, we never, it could be the most disgusting food as a family. If we're somewhere, we never send it back, never ask for it. Order something else. If you don't like it, order something else because, oh, girl, I am scared. We are scared. As a family, we are scared.
But yeah, I could see you guys being traumatized by that, and like, okay, as a family, we are never going to take something back. I am like, oh, this is like a tiny bit cold, take it back. Oh, this is not what exactly what I ordered, take it back.
Do you know how much fucking spit you've probably eaten? Sorry to say it to you, but
Oh, shut
I don't
up.
know.
I
I
don't want to think
mean,
about it.
that honestly, go off, queen. Don't think about it. But
I don't
even
want to
like
think
the
about
other
it.
day, my mom, she had gotten a coffee, like, and it was, she just gets black coffee, and she was like, it was cold. And I was like, oh, just like heat it up when you get to where she was going. And she was like, yeah, I'll do that. But like, I'm just going to tell them that it's cold so that like they know what they're serving is like, it's just not hot. And the
Yeah.
lady tried to like give her another one. And she was like, no, 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 it's okay. Like, I'm just like, I just wanted to let you know, but like, it's fine. Like, whatever. And I was like, fucking gagged. I was like, yeah, because we are scared. We stand on not sending food back, even
Yeah.
if it's fucking awful. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Guys, what is you? Are you like Team Maddie or are you
What
Team
is
Ashley?
you?
What is you thoughts? Because I feel like I feel like it is a stance where it's like there's no middle ground. It's like you either do it and you're like, I would send something back. I would say it's like it's not what I wanted or it doesn't taste good, or you are like deathly afraid of that.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was, I don't know how old I was, maybe 15 to 18, so like not really an adult yet, my mom and I went to this small Italian restaurant in Carnegie, so like maybe like 15, 20 minutes from our house, like a little bit outside the city. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was like just me and my mom like eating lunch or something.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like it was after a school trip to the zoo. Yes, that's why we were there because it was next to the zoo, and my mom was the chaperone, so we could. She always came to those, so we could leave and I didn't have to like go back to school,
Yeah,
take the
yeah.
bus. So anyway, from the zoo, we went to this little Italian restaurant. I can't remember what happened with our meals, but they were like fucked. And the waiter was just like, it was a guy. I don't know if he was just like in his early 20s and just was like not handling the situation well. I don't know. I don't know why I am the way I am. But I turned to him and I was like, "Can you just get the manager?" He's like, "Well, I could do." I'm like, "Just get the manager." Uh, listen, when things are wrong, I get them fixed. You can't deny that.
You are a goddamn Karen.
No, it's just if I order something and it's not the right thing and I paid for it, I want what I ordered. Sorry.
You said get the manager.
Yup.
I would have
Yep.
died. I would have literally melted into my chair and died, and I would have left like so much fucking goddamn money for that tip because oh my God, I get so uncomfortable. Guys, so today we have another guest, and this is probably a guest like we haven't ever had before. So he's our first guy on the podcast, which is funny, but he's for the girls. We love him. He's one of my really good friends, Matt, and we want to talk to him about like his nonprofit, All Things Bravo. He ran the Boston Marathon. He's run a couple of marathons so far under his belt. He just has a really fun and like interesting story. And we just like we want to keep bringing like interesting, fun people to you guys. So we thought he would be a really fun fit. So we are going to dive right into the interview. All right, you guys, give a warm welcome to my BFF, Maddie. And Maddie and Maddie. It is the meeting of the minds. We're so glad that you're on here today. And I haven't seen you IRL in so long. So this feels so healing.
Oh, completely agree. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat, and what a great way to kick off the weekend. And very excited to be here.
Yeah. So we wanted to have you on because Maddie and I talk a lot about like Bravo, all things like just like Vanderpump, we get Summer House. Matt was the one who introduced me to Housewives and all things Bravo. So like when Maddie and I are talking about it, I always think of you because it's like it's our healing thing. Like we're in our text talking about it. We're talking about it on the pod, but also you are like a very interesting person in the fact that like you have worked for nonprofits, you're a marathon runner, you have your finger on the pulse always. And I think it's just really interesting. Like, if I were just like to look at you, I wouldn't assume all of these things, but like you've lived a lot of lives for somebody that is not that old. And like just recently, you ran Boston Marathon. How many marathons was that for you?
This will be my eighth marathon.
That's
Oh,
iconic.
So
wait. Wow.
I know.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
And if we're gonna bring it back to Bravo, it's like in the words of Marlo Hampton, like today drain me. Like it's like my body's
Today
like
drained me.
yeah, my body's like, girl, we need to take a break
So
right now.
how did you like get into that? Because I remember it was like my senior year of college, and remember I needed like a test subject for like an athlete, and you were like, ah, and I
Yes.
was like, would you want to help me with
Yeah.
this? And that was super fun to get to like work with you in that like respect. But how did you get into marathon running? Like I honestly don't remember, so this is just great a recap.
Yeah, no, totally. So like many of us, I mean, Allie, your family, like you come from a bunch of marathoners, your parents, like, I mean, my resume is like peanuts compared to them. They run like 700 of them. But, and so growing up in Massachusetts, the Boston Marathon is a huge part of our culture and, everything. And my aunt, she's run like seven, and we used to go see her every year. She qualified for a bunch of them. My dad actually ran the year that I was born. Because back then, like he had a friend that could get him a bib,
Yeah.
and I was so like on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, he was like saying to my uncles, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna run the marathon." They're like, "You're not gonna run the marathon. That's like 26 miles." And he was like, "Yeah, whatever, just run it." Like he was a big athlete growing up, and he started training January 1st. I was born January 13th. And it was the snowiest winter ever, just like my first marathon. And he ran the year. I literally was in a stroller. I was like just turned 4 months old, like that, like the day that he ran. So it's always been like a huge part of part of our life. Like all my cousins and I used to say to my aunt, like her name's Maria, but we call her Auntie Mers. And I'll be like, Auntie Mers, like we want to run the marathon with you one day. And she's like, yeah, when you're 20s, like you can run the marathon. We will do it together. And so I went to Suffolk with Allie's sister Kate, and you know, gained like the freshman, 20, as many of us do. And I was like, I'm gonna go for a run. And growing up, I always wanted to do it. Was never a runner. Like I was the kid that would walk the mile in gym with like my friends and like talk about like the Kardashians and Bravo. Like it's if you talk to anybody I went to high school with, they're shocked like that I have run a marathon, let alone eight. And like I think it'd be more like a more of like a belief that I like went to prison for like 20 years. Like it's like it's like crazy. Um and so I just like went out for a run, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And my aunt was like, I was like, oh, I think I want to run the Bay State half, which is up in Lowell. And she was like, all right, well, you're not allowed to register for anything until you can run 7 miles. So like I had this like fire in me, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Did the 7 miles, ran the half, and like it was like euphoric. It was so crazy. Like I never thought I would ever could ever do something like that, because like we all do, we all doubt ourselves, like, and we
Mm.
all say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. And like I always wanted to run, but I never like committed to it. And of course there's people in your life growing up like, oh like you do this and I do that, and like, oh no, like it's too hard. So like as a kid you're kind of like, oh whatever, and then you don't do it. So and then a week later, I got a bib, an opportunity to get a bib through a family friend to run Boston, and I was like 19-year-old me being like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, like not knowing anything. And I was always like interested in doing like the Walk for Hunger and raising money and doing this. What's kind of it was very much foreshadowing to my adult life. And I had two friends that had major hardships. My friend Jack, who went to high school with, he was a star athlete and got involved in a terrible snowboarding accident my senior year, and was is now paralyzed from the waist down. And then my friend Connor, who unfortunately lost his battle with cancer, he had it in his entire life, and I ran for both of them, and I called it Teams Tingsboro Tough because I'm from Tingsboro, Massachusetts. So raise money for them, and it was just like having the inspiration of those people kind of getting through the training. Ironically, just like my dad, it was Snowmageddon, and it snowed 147 inches of snow in the city of Boston that year, and it
Wow.
just kind of running it gave me my community. I also like working in fundraising. The best way to raise money and awareness in Massachusetts is to run the Boston Marathon. So it kind of just sent it up, and then now I work in New York in fundraising, and they want me to open up Boston. They're like, all right, how are you gonna get people? And I'm like, well, I guess I'll run the marathon. So it's kind of like synergizing like
Oh,
the public good also while making like, putting myself through hell. But it's been a journey.
that's really cool. And also, like, I don't think they're like when you think about like lifting weights and that side of fitness, like there really isn't like a big fundraiser that we could do that it as easy as like running a marathon, having someone pledge so much per mile or whatever, however you do that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a lot. I mean, people have been so generous to me over the years, and Allie and her family have been so generous over the years, like supporting all of my runs, and that they're you have to like I am a professional fundraiser, so I am a
Mhm.
passionate person of like what
Mhm.
I'm talking about and what I'm doing, but it when people see that you're putting yourself through like those
Mhm.
Boston or New York winters and to go do something like ridiculous like that,
Mhm.
in Boston, you could have 145 inches of snow, and then it could be 90 on race day. So or it could be
Oh
40
wow.
in monsoons, or you really don't know what you're going
Yeah.
to get. Like this year, I trained my butt off, and it was 75. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
so it's,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I guess I don't know if can we curse on this?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, well, I'll just go fuck myself because I
Yeah.
was just like, like I was like, you have all these set goals, and then you get there, and then you're like
Yeah.
mile two, you're like, well,
It's
I'm
really fucking hot, and I was not prepared for this.
yeah, I will be finishing today, and after all those months of training and getting a coach, are going right to the one side.
It makes me feel like a douche. Every year that like we go and watch the marathon, it's always like, all right, let's go get brunch, let's go get drinks, and then we'll go down by the finish line. And we're just like, got a
Mm,
good buzz going, and we're like clapping for everybody and cheering. And I'm like, oh my God, like here I am just like
it's it's so funny because
exhausted from the day that I have.
exhausting. No, it's and you know what though? My parents, I mean, Allie knows most of my marathons have been like the most treacherous weather. And as a runner, it's obviously miserable. But like shout out to all the spectators and the families that go out, because my parents are like, holy shit, because when I ran Chicago, it was like all parallel. So you could like be on one avenue at mile like 7, and then like walk over an avenue, and then you'll see me at mile 13.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
like not jumping in the car and then trying to find a spot and this and that. Like my parents like felt like they run the marathon every year because they're jumping around. but I remember I ran my first marathon my sophomore year of college, went abroad where I met Kate, junior year, and then my senior, my cousin ran. And let's just say I had a very different experience at Marathon Monday than running it because I was
Yeah.
at bars starting at 12 p.m. and I was hungover at 7 p.m. as opposed to 7 a.m. So, and then I ran the marathon every single year after. I think I scarred myself because I had too many tequila shots celebrating.
But I
So
like honestly, I think it's so cool because even as you said, like as a sophomore in college, like that is not something a lot of people are interested in doing or willing to do just because it like you kind of have to change where Maddie is trying to join again. Her Wi-Fi is not being great today, but that is okay.
mm,
Um but
technology.
that's not something like a lot of people are like willing to do. So I always thought that was super cool. And now you are, so many under your belt that you're just like, yeah, this is like what I do. Like I'm a marathon runner. And that's like something really cool to say.
No, it's very humbling and a group to be a part of. And everyone, and I think that what I love about running so much in the running community is that everybody's always like, they'll say to me, and this is gonna sound like the first half that you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
girl, but and everyone and your parents will say the exact same thing. Everyone goes, "Oh, I could never run a marathon," and my answer is always, "Yeah, you're right, you can't."
Yeah.
And they're always like, well, that's kind of like a harsh answer. And it's like, well, because you said you can't. And
Yeah.
like every single person can run the marathon, unless if you have some like physical or like
Sure.
like I have a friend of mine who is battling cancer privately, and they ran the marathon this year in
Wow.
75 degrees and kicked my ass in the marathon.
Wow.
There's literally no like you never judge a book by its cover because you'll be running up Heartbreak Hill. For those who don't know, it's like mile 21 of the marathon in Boston where it's uphill and it's miserable, it's awful, and you're like walking up the hill and you're like, what the fuck? And you look over and then there's some person who's 8 times the size of you, or some woman that's like 75 and they're kicking your ass running up the hill,
Or
and
like
you're like,
someone pushing a stroller.
yeah, or and to my point too, it's like everybody, most most big time marathoners, like average folks like us, were never runners before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, because you have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
it's always one. It's always it's like always like everyone has like their why, and
Yeah.
like I have a friend of mine, my friend Jen, she's a boxer and nutritionist and marathoner, and she from my running club, which I'm still the vice president of the L Street Running Club in Southie.
He said, I'm still the vice president of.
Yes, uh, I'm speaking. um and but we always do this like send off like meeting before, like where we do pizza and whatever, before the
Yeah.
marathon. And we had her speak, and she was saying how she was never a runner, and her now husband, boyfriend at the time, was being sent out to Iraq, and
Oh, wow.
she couldn't, like she like couldn't shake it. and
Yeah.
and she was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And his mom, who's now no longer with us, was a member of L Street, and she was a runner, and she's like, you know what, come on these runs with me. And she started running, and like that was how
Wow.
she got out of it. And she was like, I just found my people. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And it is true. It's like people have so many crazy things happen, or like it's their way of coping. Or I met
Hmm.
some of like my greatest friends through running, and
Yeah.
it's a community. Like no one really understands like that experience until you've
Yeah.
lived it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's great. I recommend to everybody. I've done marathons alone, I've done them with people, and I would tell you the marathons that I trained with people are trump anything.
Yeah. Well, because it's, you're doing it in a lot of people's cases, you're doing it as a way to heal through something. You're
Hmm.
using it as like a distraction, and then that brings community. And that's like a lot of things with health and fitness and wellness. going to classes or being a part of running clubs or getting into weightlifting, doing certain things, you always find people that are like, oh shit, these are my people. And like on the days where you don't want to show up, it's like, well, Sarah's
Mm-hmm.
texting me, so you know what? I want to go because I know I'm gonna feel good. She's got my back. We're doing this together. And like that is so powerful, especially like post COVID. I feel like it's really easy to like still be isolating yourself. Like people have gotten very used to working at home and or having a hybrid schedule or all this other shit. So I love the community aspect. And this is kind of like segues into like, I think you talked about this once, or me and you were talking about this, but like when you find another person that like watches Bravo, that watches reality TV,
Mm.
why is that like another community that is like so healing?
We are all on this journey. I'm so happy that you brought that up because I was thinking about this, like my brain like was going off when you were like, yeah, Maddie and I, we text in our thing, and I'm like, yeah, like we all have our group text that we're in.
Yeah,
Like I
Bravo
have
Clubhouse.
yeah, oh yeah, like you and I are in a group text together.
Yeah.
I have a group text with um my other friends called the Grand Dames of Massachusetts, even though like two of them only live in Massachusetts now. But what we ain't changing that, and we talk about
No.
everything under the sun. And it's like, and I always say, like, imagine the people that don't watch Bravo like read our text. Like, we're 1 minute we're talking about a throwing prosthetic leg and a bunny, and so and so is going to prison, and we're all like, right. It's
Yeah,
just
you know what?
that's
So true. Oh, I can't it's honestly, it sounds so silly, but in those moments of like kind of, you're going through something or you've had a bad day and you can turn on like your favorite Bravo show. Like I just caught up like with all Vanderpump. I'm almost caught up with Summer House. New Jersey's back. I'm like, if I have a
oh
bad day, I know I can watch this. I can go on TikTok. I can go on Instagram. I can see funny memes. I can hear people's takes. I can text friends about it. And like the outside world is probably like, you guys are dumb as fuck. Like it's it's TV,
it's not though.
but it's yeah.
It's a study of people.
Yeah.
It really is. Like I was watching the Vanderpump Rules. I haven't watched this week's reunion yet, but I watched the part one,
It's not
and
very good.
yeah. Well, it's you're studying the psychology of people,
Yeah.
and it really is like you're kind of like you're seeing Ariana, have her partner of almost like a decade cheat on her with her best friend in front of everybody,
Yeah.
and kind of how she's processing this, and then James, who also was engaged to the person, and this and that, and but you're understanding the dynamics of all these people,
Yeah.
also some of like their health journeys, like with the Real Housewives of Miami,
Yep.
Gertie, being very forthcoming about her experience with breast cancer, and
Yeah.
like I think like truly one of the greatest moments in Bravo history was watching, like I could tear up like that moment of Gertie's husband shaving her head. It was such like
Yep.
a vulnerable thing. Yeah, we have stupid shit that we watch on Bravo where they'll
Totally.
like throwing like Lisa Rinna smashing the glass at Kim, and the bunny, and or whatever. Jen
You
Shah getting
beast.
yeah, getting arrested on the Sprinter van, and at the
Yeah.
Beauty Lab and Laser 20-minute Botox parking lot in the Sprinter van. But there are some really important moments, like Vicky's mom dying,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
some
that
really
absolutely broke my heart. And but like those moments where it's so real, I'm sure people watching Vicky react to hearing her mother passing away, they're probably sitting on the couch and being like, "Wow, like that's how I felt. That is so relatable." Or just it's a
yeah.
way to feel seen.
Mhm.
And honestly, I remember one of the first big not bombshell moments, but like for lack of better words, when Taylor Armstrong came out and she was, able to talk about her abuse because she finally felt safe. And like I think Maddie is back. We're having technical difficulties.
Yes.
But we're
Sorry,
talking
that was a trip to get here.
yeah. We are
Welcome
talking
back, baby.
about the kind of the study of like people like with reality TV and like in Bravo. And one moment, did you ever watch Beverly Hills, Maddie, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, the first
It's a
couple of
ride.
seasons are so good. It's honestly, it's falling off a little bit, but we're still going to watch it because we have to.
Mm,
But there was
yeah.
a moment where this one woman, her name is Taylor, she was able to finally come out and like talk about her abuse, like physical abuse from her husband who is now deceased. It creates a space for women to get out of bad relationships, to set up businesses, to be successful on their own. And so if you look at the surface level, yeah, it's okay, it's our silly little shows, but when we go deeper, we get to see a lot of like real shit and you feel less alone. And like even, like again, Matt introduced me to Housewives. I will never forget the first episode he showed me. It was
I
it
don't even
was
remember what I showed you.
oh, it was iconic. It was Real Housewives in New York, in Mexico, and it was when they all got like food poisoning on the flight and Ramona had like a pizza pie face and Luann fell in the bushes and like
Oh,
I was like, this is what I need in my life.
it's true. Like, I mean, not to like go completely off track, but like to highlight the OG. I mean, I do love the reboot. I think it's has such great promise. I don't know. I think it's awesome. But
I roll.
those women on that original cast, like Ramona Singer, monster, like true, like, but those women, like, you can't recreate that. Like,
No,
they are, and I can say from living in New York and been around some of those women, like in person, they're the exact same as you would think. And but like to highlight one person in particular, like Luann de Lesseps, the arc of Luann from season 1 to 13, like William Shakespeare couldn't even write that arc. Like if you're like a starving artist, like writing up a show, and you're like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have this woman who's married to a count. She's a countess. She lives in New York. She was a nurse, and then she's a model, and then gets divorced, fucks all these guys. Then she does
fuck's a
all these things.
pirate.
Yeah, fucks a pirate in St.
A
Barths, and
pirate?
then oh
Literally,
no, and
girl,
then and yeah,
you have to,
I
whatever you're
know.
doing, drop what you're doing and
uh
start Real Housewives of New York because your
season one,
mind
episode
will
one.
be blown.
I see. I tried watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and it just like
Oh,
We love.
it. I was like, you love it.
Oh, Matt
oh,
has some tea. Finish
Oh,
what you're saying, and then we have to talk about his
yeah.
experience.
Which this could actually lead into the podcast because that's actually kind of like the impetus like of the podcast was
Yeah, yeah.
that my experience with Salt Lake City. No, I'm just
okay.
saying, and
So
like
what
it's
what
like
did you
how you
think
get
about Salt
that.
Lake City, Maddie?
It just, I love reality TV, like, because me and I talk about it all the time. And for me, it was just, I think it was just a little bit too fake. And I was just kind of like annoyed at the situations. I wasn't like totally bought in. Like, I know about the one, what is her name, who married her grandpa, right? Like,
Oh, Mary. Yeah.
yes, like, I was like, okay,
Her
like,
step grandpa.
step grandpa. Like, I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. A little incest. Like, I'm down to
A
watch
little
crazy ass
incest
people.
moment.
Ugh.
Literally. But I don't know, I just like, I love reality dating TV like so
Mhm.
much, and so that was just like a little bit, I was like, I'm just like, I don't know, I wasn't, maybe it just wasn't the right one for me to get into like from the beginning.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I think that so first off, I mean, Salt Lake City is just like it's groundbreaking, truly.
Mhm,
Um, it's very different than any other franchise. I mean, I'm convinced
mhm.
that most of them are AI. I mean, it's like not real life. It's like I mean,
Like
but
Meredith Marks is not a real human being, and I love her for that.
yeah, I mean, would I take a bullet for Lisa Barlow
Yes.
in 0.2 seconds. She's mother, like truly.
She's a Diet
Like
Coke queen.
a
And
Diet Coke queen. We love a Diet Coke girl.
all I
Wait,
need.
did Lisa Vanderpump start on Real Housewives, or was she like friend of
Yes, Beverly
show?
Hills. Beverly
Yes.
Hills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you
That
are going to watch, let's ask our Bravo Leverty right here. If you are going to watch Housewives in an order, like Maddie is getting into it, she is starting.
Yeah.
I have my top 3 where she would start. What are your top
Mhm.
3, Matt?
have you watched Vanderpump?
Yes.
So I think since you watch Vanderpump, I would watch Beverly Hills first.
Okay.
Because you will see
Yep.
is that I think is it season 2 or 2,
I
right?
believe it's season 3.
3 because Brandy was already on. Okay. So like when what you'll notice, they like very like eloquently had you watch an episode of Beverly Hills and just like feeds into Vanderpump Rules. Like
Oh
that's how
yeah, like
Bravo.
whenever Sheena doesn't she like sleep with someone's husband?
Yeah,
Yes.
Brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh Lord. Um and then I would say the top 3 because you want to mix in some short ones too. I would say Salt Lake City because Salt Lake City is still on, and so it comes on. From what I heard through the grapevine, it's coming in September. So I would watch Salt Lake City because it's quick. Season 4 is top season in Housewives. Besides the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 6 is like the best reality TV season like I've ever seen. And then I would say maybe Jersey. Are you Italian? You look Italian.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Watch it. Yeah. I'm
Jersey.
not Italian, but Greek, and the Greeks and
Uh-huh.
Italians were very similar, and you can
Uh-huh.
see very similar
Mannerisms.
yeah. So I would say Italian, New Jersey, Beverly Hills, and Salt Lake should be your top 5
Okay.
that you want to go to.
So
Personally,
my top
my
3,
yeah, go on. Yeah.
New
Good
Jersey is
one.
there. It's there, of
Uh-huh.
course, because
The ride.
first season it's very much Olive Garden in the early 2000s. Like that is the vibe.
Danielle.
Yeah, everything about it, you will be gobsmacked. Like that is the best first season. Honestly,
I
I'm
would
gonna
agree.
call it out because it's the finale. It's the craziest shit. It's just like what? But you're stuck in a 2000s Olive Garden, like early 2000s Olive Garden, and this
Okay.
shit is all happening. So that is my recommendation. New
Mm.
York, I'm a ride or die bitch for New York because
Oh,
the early seasons are just like we're
gem.
women and we are promoting charities, and then it just like
Mhm.
evolves into this like absolute crazy banana shit.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I love it. And then I'm gonna say Potomac. I'm a ride or die for Potomac. The first couple of
Mm.
seasons, gold.
Oh, yeah. Well, Maddie, my top 3 Housewives franchises is Old School New York,
Yep.
Atlanta, and Potomac.
Yeah.
Those are my top 3. Like
But I was if
Potomac,
you're gonna
don't
start,
sleep on Potomac, people. It's
no,
the best.
it is the best. But if you're gonna start, I think an approachable way, like Matt said, Beverly Hills,
Mhm.
because you already know the players a little bit,
Mhm.
and then Jersey because you're Italian. So that just makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Maybe right now I'm in a like a wormhole of this new show called Love and Translation, and it's amazing.
What is it?
Mm.
Oh my God. So these 3 guys who like want to get married kind of in some capacity, they're like in their early 20s, um, are open to finding wives from different countries. And because they're like, oh, the women over here, I know they're more open than the United States, whatever. And it's, I think 12 women who also kind of had the same idea of they all think an American guy is going to be like the answer. So I know they go to this house and that's where they're going to all like hang out and go on dates. But none of the women, they're all from different countries, like Japan, Mexico, like everywhere.
Mm.
None of them speak English,
Oh,
like nothing.
so are they hitting
And
that like Google Translate?
no, because they're like, the show is like kind of like it's like pitching a translation device. So the
Oh
girls
God.
It's so good. The girls can all understand each other because they have the headphone thing, but they can't understand the guy, and the guy can't understand them. But the host can talk to them. So the whole thing is, can love like transcend like not being able to speak the
Ah.
same language? And let me tell you, it is hysterical because they
Where are you
literally
watching this?
Flickster, of course. So I don't know what it's on. I don't know like I don't know which one it's on. Maybe Bravo, who knows? But it's amazing because just like such simple stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, I know no Spanish. I still don't know it. And then like the guy is like, pescado, like that's fish. Like it's such basic things like they don't know, but it's just
Yeah.
hilarious because literally everything gets
Mm.
lost in translation. Like they don't know how to
Yeah.
communicate. It's really good. You should watch it.
That is
Ooh.
crazy. And
Mhm.
okay, it made me think, Matt knows this person, and but I'm not gonna name them. Um, they were having sex with somebody in another country, and they were like
Mhm.
using Google Translate to like talk before having sex, and then they just like
Oh my
were having
god.
sex. And a source told me that like they were using Google Translate literally while having sex.
Listen, any way to get the job done, you know?
I I I literally was like, iconic. I can't even say anything
Yeah.
bad. Like I'm laughing a little, but like also like go the
Go
fuck
off.
off. Go
Yeah,
off. Live your
nevertheless, she
real life.
persisted. You know what? Dorothy went down that Yellow Brick Road too, and she had some speed bumps when she got to that red city. So, you know.
Oh, yeah, but that's my current like fixation. But I can
Yeah.
definitely add Beverly Hills. You should start with that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Because
mean,
you
every
know
single one, honestly.
LVP.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
You know LVP, you're gonna
Mhm.
get to see the one of the most amazing friendships of Kyle and LVP. Like, don't
Oh
say anything, Matthew. It is one for the history books. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say it. So, and when you were out a little bit, we were talking a little bit about when you were like in the abyss. We were talking about
Limbo.
Matt's experience with marathon running and the community aspect. And Maddie used to coach CrossFit. So I'm curious, like when you were there coaching, like did you experience this like community aspect that was like super uplifting and just like when people walked through the doors, even if they were having a bad day, they're like, I'm going to, I know I'm going to feel good because like Maddie's a great coach or I'm taking this class with somebody else. Like, what is that experience like in the CrossFit world? Because I feel like in the running community and then the CrossFit community or powerlifting
Mhm.
community, like these communities can be very tight knit.
Mm.
Mhm. I would say it's like the one thing why people keep coming back to CrossFit and why even like group fitness classes in general, right?
Yeah.
Like Orange Theory or whatever, Barry's Boot Camp or whatever you do. It's very much a community and like people don't always want to go to the gym and work out alone and be by themselves. So that's what keeps people coming back. But yeah, there was a long time like Joel and I would talk about like, oh, we're just going because we like all the people there and the atmosphere is so fun and it's good music and everyone is like pushing really hard and we're all like collectively dying and overtraining together, like
Yeah.
that's what keeps you there, and it was so fun. Like that was like the one thing like I really do miss, like being more of an in-person coach is like being able to work with so many people and just like that environment is so fun. And like for both of us now, like we don't I don't think you've ever had a group training experience like coaching a lot of people at once, have you?
Well, I used to do like in-person training and then I did like a couple of like boot camp style things, but I honestly I hate that sort of stuff
Yeah.
personally
Yeah.
because I like to have more one-on-one connections. And it was
Hmm.
interesting because like through COVID, I would do all of these like different classes and things on Zoom and a lot of them were always like um just based it was like donations and it would be like all right, I'm hosting this class for I'm going to be donating like 75% of the proceeds to like certain BLM organizations. And I loved to do stuff like that because it wasn't about making money, but it's about okay, there is a lot of really a big movement happening right now. And I want to be on the right side of history. I want to be in a place where I am making a difference because I have some space to do that. But I loved doing those little like Zoom classes, and like some women up in there were like lifting, like they were doing bicep curls with like kitty litter, or we were just focusing on like a lot of like just like body weight movements and tempo, and but it just brought us together in a time where it felt scary and isolating. And so
Yeah.
in that aspect, I like group fitness, but I'm very much I like a very intimate connections.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just like the cool thing about like fitness and health and wellness, and Matt and I, again, we're talking about this when you were in the abyss. You know, like the game Among Us?
No.
Okay, so like it's like so nerdy, but you basically like you would play your game and you had to find the imposter, and like we would be like, oh, Maddie's the imposter, and we'd like throw you out into space, and if you were the imposter, we won, but like if you weren't the imposter, then oh, she died, and oh, that's sad. So it kind of reminds me when you were like having your issues, it was like we threw you out, but just like the space of health, fitness, and wellness, it is so healing, because a lot of the times people do have certain goals. They want to, you know, learn how to actually run a mile. They want to be stronger. They want to lose weight. They want to build muscle, etc. They don't know how to do it, but they also don't want to do it alone. And so having these groups is so beneficial. And then like we, you know, we're segued it, and Matt, I want you to kind of talk about your podcast, but we segued this into Bravo because again, at a time where it's like, you know, work is crazy, or you know, you've got some family issues going on, things are happening, you can turn on Bravo, watch some shit that you're like, that's either funny, that's relatable. You can text your friends about it. You can go on TikTok, on Instagram, and like see people talking about the same things. And that's why I love reality TV, for one reason, is because like it builds connection. And I don't care if people think it's like surface level. I'm like, I have met some really awesome people. Matt has done some incredible things because of his love for reality TV. I want you to talk about the Shah of it all, Matt. Like this was the coolest shit that I think like one of my friends has ever done. Like genuinely.
And no one knew that I was going.
No,
nor did I think this would ever happen.
He was undercover. This is a case for the FBI.
Yeah, literally, I was legit Christian. I'm like, this is a case for the FBI. So for those of you who don't know, so I am from the Boston area, but now I live in New York City, and I had a couple of vacation days that rolled over, and you know, working in fundraising, and the month of January is dead because we've kicked the shit out of everybody in Q4, especially over the holidays. So you can't ask for money or do anything during January. So all of our rollover days kind of go over, and everyone's like wrapping up the holidays and whatever. So I had some extra days I didn't use, and I saw that Jen Shah's sentencing was happening on January 6th, as I have coined it, and
January 6th. So Maddie, Jen Shah is from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Okay, you know that.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about
and I could totally give the whole
yeah.
Was her husband like doing something with like the survivors or something? But
no, that's Erica Girardi on Beverly Hills. Okay, so Jen Shah, who was supposed to be like, I think the producers thought she was going to be like the head honcho of Salt Lake City. She definitely made an imprint on the franchise, but so the first season, everyone's kind of like, what does she? She has so much money. She's like, oh, I work in marketing and whatever, telemarketing. So what came out was that she was running a telemarketing scheme that focused on the elderly people. And so like, to put an example, like, let's say like even elderly, even like our parents, like they're not elderly, but they're like kind of
older.
not as
They're more
not as tech
susceptible.
savvy. Yeah. As tech savvy as like our generation is, right?
Yeah.
So let's say like your mom wants to start like a quilting business, right? And she's like, oh, I don't really know where to go. I mean, I need to do accounting, I need to do social media, like a kind of like a one-stop shop, right? So Jen's person would come in and be like, hey, you know, Jan, I have somebody that can do accounting for you. I can have them run your social media, do your website, this and that. So it's all these like leads. So, all right. So if you do like a starting payment of $500, we'll just do this, and then we can like get you started because it's like an intro payment, right?
Yeah.
And what would happen is that they would take your credit card information and then like sell it to all these fake leads, and it would just go, and there would be no one would call for the accounting, no one would do the social media. So your credit card information would be compromised, and it would be charging for all these services you're getting, but no service would come back.
And
Oh
wasn't
my
it
And
a
God.
lot of
and there'd
smaller
be no.
transactions? So it was like kind of
Oh,
going unnoticed.
yeah.
Yeah, but no services were coming through. And so these
Right.
people were getting their life savings were just getting like cleaned out.
Drained.
Wow.
And so she's running in the words of Whitney Wild Rose when she found out that Jen Shah was getting arrested, I just had chills, and she goes, I have the fucking chills. So uh so they've been following her for like 10 years. And so while they and if anything, and she was charged in the Southern District of New York, which has like a 95% conviction rate. So because she was I think it was like in 7 to 10 states that she was found doing that work. So she
Oh
was
my
fucked,
God.
like totally fucked. Like if like the Southern
Yeah.
District, if a US attorney has your case, like you're fucked, because like they
Yeah.
don't take those cases unless if like they know for sure that it's like true. So of course, until
Yeah.
the 11th hour, she pled like not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. But they had all this paper trail and of like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually, not to plug another podcast, but my friend Lauren, I actually met her at the Jen Shah trial. So
Oh,
I just
so
like
you
went.
went.
So I went, and I was like, oh, I'll just like see her come out like in the handcuffs, like whatever, like not thinking anything. My friend Rachel, who's a lawyer in New York, was gonna come with me, but one of her clients changed their time of their meeting because they were supposed to meet in the morning, but she couldn't
Mhm.
go. So
Mhm.
Rachel just thought I was going, right? As did I. And I meet my friend Lauren in line, and we start talking, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, laptops out, this and that. I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, what? I somehow found myself in the courtroom when Jen Shah got sentenced. So,
Oh my
so if you
God.
want a full detailed account, you can visit Allegedly Bravo. It's a great podcast where my friend Lauren's a lawyer, and she talks about all housewives and pop culture lawsuits. We did a
Mhm.
full minute by minute like recount of
Breakdown.
the entire of the entire day.
Oh
Um
my God.
Completely unhinged. But yeah, once you watch it, you're gonna know Murillo, who's one of her friends who allegedly stole the bag out of Meredith's store. The aunt that smells like hospital, she was there. I mean, it was like, I was with Sharif, her husband, and the two boys, and
Wow.
I was boots on the ground. I was,
Boots on the
so
ground.
I was doing a public service for the gays and the
You
gals.
you were doing a public service for so many people, and you
Mhm.
don't get enough credit. And this is where
Thanks,
we are
honey.
giving you the credit because I have the texts. I am like, after he's like, you will not believe what I just did. Da 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 da. Da. I need to call you, and I'm like, what? Like, I am shooketh. I am shook because, again, like, this is where like reality meets like actual shit. Like, this is such a huge problem, and she got fucking exposed because she put herself on TV, and now she stopped. Like, so many more people are not going to have to like be a victim
Mhm.
because, of a stupid little show. But like, she was doing some crazy like shit.
Crazy. She a bad cookie, that one. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't really understand like the gravity of like what she did until you like I was there for the prosecutors and like everything. And like I was like, holy fuck. And since like I mean I took a couple I took because like my background for undergrads in broadcasting. So I took like
Mhm.
media law. There's like I kind of like I know like the law, but I'm not a lawyer by any stretch or know like procedures and everything. So I
Uh,
was so grateful to have Lauren in the room being like, okay, this is what this means. This is what that. And when I tell you, Lauren's face was gobsmacked when she heard the prosecuting attorneys come up. She looked at me and she was like, so she was charged originally with 40 years in federal prison, but then they knocked everything down, and the highest, it went down to like 10 to 14. And she looked at me when the prosecutors went, she was like, I would not be surprised if she got
The
14
full.
years. Like the
Wait,
full
why
thing.
was it knocked down from 40?
Just because she pled, it was like a plea bargain. Like she like admitted
She
and
did
like did all
plead
these different.
guilty.
Yeah. So then that like knocked down, but she went like full in, like, nope, like they could get her on a bunch of different shit. But because usually that's what happens, like when you get charged, like they'll like go like maximum 40 years in federal prison, and then they kind of like knock down on like different
Gotcha.
charges.
Gotcha.
As if you're
So
taking some sort of accountability.
yeah.
It like saves time in the courts. It's supposed to reflect on you a certain way. But even with like good behavior, I see her getting out 7 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
so she got 6.5.
oh, she got
So
6.5. Oh, right.
so
So
yeah,
probably 4.
which well, so with a federal sentence, you have to serve 85% of that. So she'll do
Oh,
at least 5. I
okay.
mean,
Okay.
everyone was saying like, "Oh, fuck her, she should have gone." But when you really think, I mean, what she did was terrible. She didn't murder anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think for her, I think it's actually a very good sentence. I mean, you don't really like. I actually, as a part of like another life that I had, how Allie said I lived like multiple lives. I actually, right after meeting her sister, meeting Allie, I worked in a couple of the jails in Massachusetts, and I
Oh, wow.
taught in the jails. And
Like
I'm
he
telling,
literally
yeah,
was
What?
like,
yeah, I did Spanish translation. I taught like a janitorial class, like for inmates in a couple of the jails in Massachusetts.
Oh,
And I
wow.
will tell you right now, yeah, that is a long. You don't realize
5
or
years,
six and a
six
half
and a
years
half.
of that's no holidays. That's like she's missing all her kids' high school, college, graduations, like
Yeah.
everything. Like, and I will give her this. She's a very good mother. Like her kids like turned out like, and even the judge was like, I don't think that I think you're a great mom, all these different things, but like she's gonna miss out on a shit ton of things, like
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I think that I was happy with the sentencing. I'm like, you know what? Like,
Well, because that is
oh,
part of the punishment. It's like six
Yeah.
and a half years, but also you miss out on everything, and you
Yeah.
have that time to fucking think about your shitty actions led
Yeah.
to this. Like you will not get that time back. And that's something she has to think about every day while she's like BFFs with Elizabeth Holmes in the
yeah,
jail.
yeah. Like, I mean,
Well,
is
one
she a good
drop of
person?
blood.
I
Do
know.
you know Elizabeth Holmes, Maddie?
Oh, I sure
Kind of.
did.
You
Not a
have to
time.
watch the show on Hulu. Amanda Seyfried plays her, and she's like, one drop of blood could save your life.
That
Like,
thing, yeah.
she doesn't actually talk like that. So like her and Jen Shah are like buddies in prison together. And like
I
what
could see that.
scheme are they coming up with next?
You know
Yeah,
what
no, it's
this whole like thing with her and like missing her kids and everything reminds me
Yeah.
of the Chrisleys. Chrisley Knows
Oh,
Best.
yes.
Because I'm like convinced they like didn't actually do a ton of the stuff they did because what's her name? What's the daughter's name?
Savannah.
Savannah.
Savannah went on the Vial Files and was talking to them about like kind of like what happened and how she took she adopted, I don't know if she had to like
Grayson.
legally,
She
yeah,
did it.
Grayson.
She
She did.
did.
And
Yeah,
Chloe.
yes, and she was saying how like their lawyer or whoever kind of screwed them over, and then they're missing like all of
Yeah.
their kids and Grayson growing up, and I'm like, that's just insane, like to think
Well,
that could
what I
happen.
think happened, it's kind of like with Teresa Giudice, is that she signed
Oh,
papers, like her signature is on papers, but she didn't make those decisions. But it's like if you're signing shit, you better read them, right? If you're working
Yeah,
with people, you better vet them. Like it is a shame that, they are sitting in jail right now, and maybe they were not in the know, but it's like yeah, there is some
yeah,
accountability that like needs to be taken. Like I'm not
yeah,
signing anything unless I'm fucking reading it. Like I
yeah,
I am not having that paper trail. Like just because somebody loves you and cares about you, they could fuck you over.
you never
yeah.
know.
You
Ladies,
never know.
girls, gays, straights, whoever you're married to, they, them, their, he, she, everybody, they will fuck you over.
Read
So
the
do
papers.
not
Read the
read
fine print because
read the papers.
I will be
Uh,
damned if I end up like Teresa Giudice. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, no.
I love Juicy Joe. I have a cameo from Juicy Joe. I might go meet him in the Bahamas. He invited me to go to the Bahamas. Okay. I'm sorry. He called me a boss bitch and he was like, I don't know if I should say it. All right, but I will. I'll
I
send it
would
to you. It's incredible.
please do.
Wait,
love
how
I
much
will.
was that cameo?
Oh, I got it for a birthday. I don't know. It was just
Oh,
like, have you ever gotten cameo? All right, I'm gonna get you a
no.
cameo, and all of a sudden you'll just get this text and you'll open it up, and it's like a cameo is waiting for you. And
How
it'll be
weird.
from your person. And it is literally, I don't care if they're reading a script. That man wanted to buy me a drink in the Bahamas. And I said, okay. I love Juicy Joe.
Justice for Juicy. Like,
But
fuck
like I
Louis.
will
I
never
hate
be in a
Louis.
position like
Ugh.
I hate Louis, but like he literally, I don't think you can say the C word on YouTube, so I'm not gonna say it, but like see you next Tuesday. He's like my see you next Tuesday of a wife and blah blah blah. Like he talked
Oh,
so much
monster.
shit about her, but when they were good, they were good. Like but
Yeah,
I will
I
never
miss
be like that.
Juicy.
And you'll never be like that. All right, if you guys are listening, read the damn fine print. Get a lawyer. If your person is trying to make you sign anything and they're like, "Oh, you don't need to read it, just sign it." Don't. That's on period.
Agreed. Do we feel how do we feel about cameos? Because like on one side, I'm like, are they that desperate? And the other side, I'm like, that's kind of a fun way to make money.
So Cameo takes
Both.
50%. So
Whoa.
let's say Matt does cameos for $100. Cameo takes 50%. So now he only gets $50. If you if I purchase a cameo from Matt and I have an Apple phone, Apple takes 30% of the cut. So
From
Matt
your 50%.
from your from your no from your $50, Cameo also takes a 30% of that 50. So you're really not making as much money. Like you're not making that $100 ever. So that is why a lot of people that do Cameo, it is expensive because Cameo takes a cut, Apple takes a cut. So if you ever buy someone a Cameo, do it on a computer or an Android so that Apple
Okay.
doesn't get the cut. It's just so freaking dumb, but cameos are fun. I have gotten 2 cameos in my life, and one was from Luann, and she called Kate. Oh, Sister Kate says, and me and Kate always say that. Now we'll be like, Sister Kate. It's iconic. And she sang happy birthday to me, and she called me Allie Baby. Happy birthday, Allie Baby. I said, Lou. Lou.
Happy birthday to you.
And then Juicy Joe invited me to go to the Bahamas for a drink. So I'm going to get you one and you're going to experience the magic of it all because really it is a delight.
I love a cameo.
Matt, if you could pick, who would be your top person to get a cameo from?
I don't know because now
Top two.
Sure.
no,
Make
because
it easier. What?
because now with like the pod we've been meeting I've met the people everyone that
Oh,
I've
you've
wanted to have.
met some
Oh, wow.
people.
I've been meeting a lot of them now, so I'm like, well, why ask for that when you can get the real thing? You know what I'm saying? So
He literally like, oh my
Why
God.
get the cow when you're getting the milk for free?
Can we insert some of the pics? Like, can you talk about who you've met or you don't want to do that?
No, I mean it just like being in like just from working in the fundraising in New York, like I just and now having the pod, it's been like really cool, like how like ironically how those two worlds have been like kind of like working more so from the fundraising than the pod. Just knowing some like the Jersey Housewives, like seeing like Margaret, Dolores, like they've come and supported my events and we've become
Oh,
like
wow.
in a friendly capacity, but also like from like they're very generous to like my organization. Who else? I've met like through mutual friends, like Dorinda is super sweet. I've met Missy G. I met my favorite housewife of all time a month ago, Miss Lenithia Monique Leaks. And right before that, I met Wig. We had through a friend of a friend, like a friend of mine that lives down in Atlanta, like knows all of them. So we were like getting drinks, and Wig is exactly how you would think that she is. She's actually super sweet. And who else have we met? Oh, I've met LVP before. I went to her
Her
rosé.
wine, her yeah,
Yes,
at the liquor store. I remember you were
it was her
like,
birthday. It was her
yeah,
birthday. Didn't I come over like that
yeah.
weekend or
Yeah, yeah,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got the rosé, and I was trying to get there, but it just like didn't happen, and I was like literally so jealous of you. I was like living vicariously through you, as I always do. But
Yeah.
like you, and this is where you are so good at what you do and like working in nonprofit, because you're very charismatic. You know how to really sell the vision, and like people gravitate towards that, and that's
Oh, thank you.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And talk about the pod. Obviously, like the January 6th of it all was kind of the catalyst, but like what can we expect from the pod?
Yeah, no, so kind of what happened with that is like I said, I studied broadcast journalism in my undergrad, my master's was in public administration, so I'm like very big into like news, pop culture, politics, like everything. Like I always say I can talk about the infrastructure bill and then all of a sudden talk about Jen Shah. So it's like very like we could talk about, but we don't really go into politics on the podcast, but that's another life that I have. But um yeah, I did the podcast with my friend Lauren, and I've always thought about it, but never really, um, put it into fruition. But I think moving to New York City, uh, starting over, doing all these different things, kind of changes your perception of life. I grew up in Massachusetts, like worked in the family business, built my nonprofit, did all the go, but was still kind of like in that insular, like Massachusetts is very insular, and once you're in it, you kind of like can't get out, and blah blah blah. And so when I kind of just broke away, like family ties, everything, just went to New York and started this new journey and doing a lot of things on my own and kind of living in the city. And you're kind of it's very much, I'm a Capricorn. I don't know if you guys are super into like the horoscopes, and we're very driven, we're very like go, this and that, and that's very much the energy of New York City,
Hmm.
right? And everyone always thinks that, but like it's very true. Like it's just and it can be overwhelming. Like I'm actually like away this weekend, and it's like so nice to be at like the beach, and it's like tranquil and chill. Um, and when I did this podcast, she had listeners being like, "Hey, is Matt coming on full time?" Or, does he have a podcast? And she called me and she was like, "Listen, we technically are competition, but like not really, but we're friends." And she was like, you need to do this. Like, and she's been
Mm.
such a great mentor and friend, and I'm so grateful. So if you guys are into like the Bravo stuff, you should totally listen to Allegedly Bravo. She's fantastic. And it's been just like a ride. And moving to somewhere and starting a new job is a lot. So I will tell
Mhm.
everyone who's listening to this podcast that just started a new job or is thinking of moving, when you are like overwhelmed, it is a lot. And then one day it clicks and like you're good. But there was a solid year and a half where I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do it. But mentally, I just couldn't put myself into it. But I do want to share kind of my experience with the pod the last couple months. I think hopefully will help a lot of others. Um, I know that Allie has been joking about how I live so many different lives. You do all these different things, but I will be completely candid with you. It's not easy. You guys will agree with that having a podcast is a shit ton of work,
Mhm.
and life is a lot of work. Um, but I did my first couple episodes this past March, and I abruptly stopped the podcast, and everyone's like was like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, I just have the marathon kind of coming up, and I'm traveling a lot for work, and I just like I need to like take a break." Um, I was doing way too much,
Mhm.
and I am like I said, Capricorn. I'm doing like a million different things, and like I'm the type of person where I can like walk through fire. I'm like everything's fine, but
Yeah.
like my life is
Same.
collapsing, But it's okay to like take a step back because I was so stressed about doing this podcast. Work was crazy in a good way. It was traveling a ton, doing this, that. And one day I just snapped.
I remember
And
you called me.
yes,
Like I
I
remember
snapped.
like I'm like sitting in my chair and you're like, I'm like a little I'm a little nervous. And I was like, what is happening? And we, I think that's also like it's so good to have those people in your life to be able to be like,
Yeah.
you are a lot, like you're doing a lot and you're allowed to take a break and giving yourself that space to
Mhm.
not have to do it all of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that we're very like mental health positive here. Just at least I
No,
know
we're
from knowing
not.
Al. Yeah, we're not.
Nope.
You know what? Pull up your bootstraps and like
Go
get your
for a
ass out
walk.
there.
You're
Yeah, yeah.
fine. No, yeah.
Or we all have anxiety. We're all stressed. Yeah, that's like
No, but
yeah, we
we
love that.
definitely are for sure.
Yeah, and I've battled with anxiety, depression my entire life, and I think that this truly was like my breaking point. Full disclosure,
Mhm.
Allie knows, I lost my grandfather over the holidays and it ruined me. And I don't like think that I really dealt with it well or actually dealt with it. And then you're throwing on,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter how many marathons you run, you always, the last like month, you're like, what the fuck? This is just so much. You're so much training, you're alone, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm doing the podcast and I'm traveling to Boston for work and then going to here, going to there, planning my best friend's
Mhm.
bachelorette. But you're just kind of like floating and you're just going.
Mhm.
And I remember saying to myself, being like, I don't feel like, because whenever I get so stressed, I feel like I'm like that hot computer with the fan, and you're just like you can't focus. And I didn't
Mhm.
hit that yet, and
Mhm.
I'm like, no, I'm just stressed, but I'm just kind of like floating, and I'm like going. But when you have like your loved ones that know you knew that you were going through certain things like that, and there was just one day, went out one night, came home, and then I woke up in the middle of the night with like chronic like panic attacks, and it was like 2 weeks of just like you like, and I had to just like stop. And I
Yeah.
was like, and I remember my friend AJ, who's been helping me with my podcast, social media, I just like called them and I was like, I can't do this. Like, and he was like, all right. He's like, we're gonna like take a break. He's like, there's not a lot of Bravo on, right, Housewives or anything. He's like, we'll just like heavy on the social media right now. And I have to say, it was the best thing I ever did because I took a step back, and I put so much pressure on myself for so many different things, and we all do that.
Mhm.
And you're not going to be 100% on 10 different things. You could be 100% on like two things, or who gives a shit if you're not 100% on everything. And it got to the marathon where I trained my hardest. I got a coach and I was in the best shape I ever did. I'm like, I'm doing a sub 4 hour marathon this year. And then you get out to the marathon and it's fucking 75 degrees and blistering sun, no wind, nothing. And at mile 3, I saw my parents and I was like, and I remember like looking at myself and being like, fuck this. Like, who do I think I am? Like, putting all this pressure on myself. I have nothing to prove. I have done this 8 times at this point. Like, I am like talking myself off the ledge, and it really like puts in perspective. And I want everyone to listen to this being like, it's okay to like not be 100% on everything that you do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to run the marathon. Like I said to my aunt, I said, I'm not retired, but I'm not like, but I'm
Actively
not,
training.
I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I need to like find a way to like have a healthy relationship with running where I'm not
Mm.
like, I don't have to go fully in. And next time I do a marathon, I'm going to do it because I want to do it,
Mm,
not because I feel like
Mhm.
I have to do it. And
yes.
there's just like
Mhm.
so much other things like to do. Like, I'm excited about this podcast. I'm excited about what I do for work or anything,
Mhm.
like living in New York City. Like, why do I need to put all this pressure?
Yeah.
And I I threw myself back into therapy, and it's been great. Like, you need to like,
Mhm.
and it's been trying to work on yourself
Yeah.
and like get all these things. And I just like feel so great. And I actually just got back into the recording booth for this new episode, and I've done 2 episodes now, like coming back, and it's like I'm so chill. I am editing like not like a fiend, and I'm just like like I like needed that break, and
Yeah.
I think the universe was telling me was like if it since I'm a pop culture like person, like it's quote Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, Molly, you in danger, girl. Like it set me like I needed to just unplug. And I think that it's
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
to unplug. And I want everyone to know that, especially with whatever we have going on, it's made me a way better me. And I could do what I want to do, like
Hmm.
taking that time out. I know it's like very scary and I have to do this. No, you don't. You don't have to do it. Like, and
Yeah.
it's taken me a lot of hard lessons like to realize that. And you know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter if the marathon. Anybody that asks you, "Oh, how's the marathon?" I could say, "Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome," or "It was great." They go, "Oh, great."
Yeah.
No one gives a shit
Yeah.
besides you.
Yeah.
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 No, that's true.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
my
yeah.
mentor said something to me the other day. Like, I feel like, and I'm sure you can agree with this in Allie too. Whereas, like, being in the entrepreneurial space is very much like go, 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 like keep
Hmm.
grinding, do more work. And the problem is when you like what you do, you will just keep working. And when I'm home, I'm in Denver right now, but when I'm home, I could literally work all day, like not see the sunlight, like not step outside of my office and be fine. But then I get trapped, but then I
Well,
feel
like
like,
it's kind of like I'm fine, but like it
yeah,
takes
it's
a
not
toll on
healthy.
you. Yeah.
100%. And then you don't
Yeah.
realize, like, I like to travel, and my sister lives in Denver, and I see her, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I was just like in a vacuum, like going insane. And now I'm like getting more sunlight, going out, and you realize, like, oh, I feel so much better. And I don't need to be like trapped in that bubble and doing things I think I need to do. Just
Mm.
like when people, try to start running or try to start this, they have like a laundry list of all these things they think they have to do. In reality, they only need to do like one or two of those things and
Yeah.
just be like consistent. So it's just like seeing, okay, taking a step back. What do I actually need to do that's going to move me forward and not make me go like mentally deranged? And
Yeah.
then go with that list.
I also think too that what I've been trying to work on with on myself that I'm sure that many that you guys as well as like a lot of the listeners do too is I'm trying not to shame myself
Oh, yeah.
if I
Mm.
don't work out, or am I thinking what
Yeah.
everyone else thinks? Like, who the fuck cares what anyone else thinks? Like, I know they have other people like, oh,
Hmm.
oh, you didn't run today, or why aren't you running? Why aren't you this? Or it's like, you know
No
what?
one
Because I just
cares.
fucking I went to an event. I went to an event last night. I was working till 2
Yeah.
a.m. and I don't and I'm fucking
Hmm.
tired, and
Yeah.
I have
Hmm.
to do this and whatever. But like people like we just need to not put so much pressure on ourselves because at the end when you
Hmm.
because I think that when with because I started running like I said like I was never a runner and I just kind of like threw myself into it and I go super hard during training and I go out and then when the marathon's done I like
Mm.
don't do anything and I need to like get back on this like schedule where I'm making it a part of my life not because I have to like
Not making
prove
it your
something I have
entire
yeah
life. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't need to like it just be like, oh, you know what? If I want to take a spin class, say, oh, all right, I'll do that. Or if I want to go do my cardio sculpt class, or just go for a run, or do X, Y, and Z. Like it's just as long as you're doing something every day,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Whether it's big or small, I don't have to, or when it comes to runs, how about I just do a 10K or a half marathon? I don't need to be going balls to the wall doing marathons all the time. And so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like based like it took like hitting like rock bottom to kind of like make you realize that like
Hmm.
I had to face the music be like you know what I have a lot on my plate right now like
Yeah.
I need to like deal with like personal stuff with like losing my grandfather and doing kind of setting myself up with this podcast as like my passion project but also like working in fundraising. People just think you get to talk to people when you go to an event. It's like it's a lot of work and it's a lot of
Hmm.
time outside of and it's also like relationships too. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
like be constantly thinking how like, all right, I can't like I'm like are they mad? Like no, like no, fuck it. Just like take like
Take a
and
breath
yeah,
and take
and
a step back.
yeah, like I put so much pressure on myself all the time. Like I found even with like with work, and I'm sure a lot of people do this too, where it's like I'll do something for work and I'll send it to my boss and I'm like so stressed. Like, oh my God, she's gonna be so
Hmm.
irritated. And like I put so much effort into like or I didn't do this enough, and you send them, they go, oh, all right, cool.
Looks good.
And then you're like, so prime example, I I manage our marathon team for my company, and for all the fundraising, I build a team, manage them, everything. And so I told myself, well, I ran my first marathon when I'm 20, and I've done all these things. I'm gonna run Boston this year. I'm gonna run Boston and New York this year, and then I'm gonna run. And when as I'm turning 30 in January, I'm gonna do my 10th marathon. And like, I need to do this. I have like, I don't know why. Like, I felt like if I
Something to
didn't do
like
it,
prove to
yeah,
yourself.
I'm a loser, right? And so then, to I the New York Roadrunners said to us, we need to, if you want more bibs, we need to have everyone registered by April 15th, which was the Boston Marathon. And 2 weeks out from the marathon, I was like so stressed with everything going on. And I didn't even have like a tenth of like what I will have 2 weeks before the New York Marathon, because I have a big event that I'm putting in Boston and doing all these things. And I'm like, if I can't function right now, like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
why am I
Mhm.
putting all this extra shit on my, what, so I can just say that I did New York?
Mm,
Like, for what?
yeah. I
Like,
think
Yeah.
a lot of people feel that way though. Like it's for some reason there's something I have to prove and I have to stay kind of like Maddie was saying, like in this bubble, I have to go, go, go. And eventually you hit a wall and you kind of take inventory of like what is actually fulfilling in my life, what is too much,
Mhm.
what change can I make to make this environment, this process, this life like more enjoyable. And I think we've talked about this a lot, Maddie and I, but having these like moments of like I had hit this rock bottom, Maddie had like a crazy health experience when she was in her 20s, like from, basically being healthy and normal to like 9 months later, like not being able to walk, being so sick. And like in those moments, it's like we have to kind of pause and be like, okay, like what is actually important to me? What am I doing for myself? What am I doing just to say I did it? And that I'm like so glad you were able to pause and be like, whoa, okay, like a lot of shit going on. What can I pull back from? And then to come back into something you love, like your podcast, having it like be a passion project, having it become something that will be big because like you're just an amazing person. And when you can show up in your most authentic self and good energy,
Yeah,
like
and happy.
happy. If you're not fucking happy, you're just gonna be like, all right, so today, blah blah blah. And like people can feel that
Yeah.
bad
yeah,
energy.
so true.
And I always say
Before, yeah,
or go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, you go. I was gonna say I'm watching the clock right now because I know we are always gabby. Like I am what do you call it? I got the gift of gab, as Phaedra would say. And me and
My
Matt
other top housewife.
put us in a room and we're not gonna shut the fuck up. So I'm
Oh
watching
Well,
yeah,
we
but
don't
we were
make
like
Matt,
the
short
View.
podcasts.
no, we don't make short podcast. We're not
No.
here for the shorties. We are here
No,
to
we're for the
give.
We were like the freaking ladies of the View. We were like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
take
was
a
I
little
gonna
time to
say?
enjoy the view.
Oh, I always say to Allie, like, no one is ever going to say, like, oh, Maddie and Allie just do a podcast for the paycheck. Because one, there is no paycheck. And two, like we actually like each other and like talking to each other. So that's, we come back to this because we enjoy it and really
Yeah.
like it. And,
Mm,
we get to educate and not just be like, what's a macro? Like, no, we're talking about like mental health, talking about all
Yep.
these things and making information about health just more fun and like approachable. And so that's something, if we found this super draining, we wouldn't keep doing it every single week.
No,
yeah,
right.
no, it is, and you know what? And I'm sure you guys say this all the time, but I could be run. I just ran my eighth marathon. I like look like I'm in like great shape, and I did all this stuff and whatever. But mental health is just as important as regular health.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and if you don't have your mind, then what like your mind and your family. That's
Yeah.
like literally all that matters. And
Yeah.
like, it's really kind of put into perspective with me, like why. No, like I'm just like fuck it. I look at, like, I remember when I knew that I made the right decision. Like I ran the 2018 marathon, that it like monsoon, it was miserable. Like people were like I'll never do that ever again, whatever. And I remember my uncle and I were walking outside my house, and he was like, "Oh, you think you'll ever do it again?" I'm like, "Next year." And
Yeah.
he was like, "Why?" I'm like, "I trained so hard." I go, I have like a vengeance like for next, like I need to like do better this year." I'm like, hmm. Like I don't even care. Like I'm excited to do new things. Like
Yeah.
that's what life should
Mhm.
be. Like I'm entering like a new decade next year. Like let's like try new things. Like that's what we. You don't need to. I think I was trying to keep my life in Boston,
Yeah.
in New York. New
Mm.
Mm.
chapter, clean slate,
Yeah.
baby. Like
Clean it out, bitch. Clean it out. And especially
yeah,
Uh,
Maddie and I talked about this before, but like 30, flirty, and thriving. Like
amen,
when
honey.
literally.
you enter that new decade, like it's for you. Do the shit for you that makes you happy. Let go of the things that don't make you happy. Stop shaming yourself. That is like a big thing for me, like not judging
Mhm.
myself. And I love that for you. And I'm so glad that you got to come on today because
Yes,
I miss your face and it has been like so long. It's actually tragic.
yes.
Um but tell the people where they can find you, where they can find your podcast. We'll link it all below so you can be lazy and just like click and scroll. But what tell them what you've got going on.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So my show is The Pop Corner with Matty Durkin. We are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow my personal Instagram at Matty Durkin, and then for the pod, it's at the Pop Corner Pod. For all the updates, we drop episodes on Fridays, and
So you can listen to
yeah,
us on Wednesday and you can listen to Matt on Friday.
yes. So for and so I would like to reiterate, we're not just a Bravo podcast. We talk about everything pop culture,
Yep.
with Bravo emphasis and everything. So we're gonna, and since with my background being in philanthropy, like I do want to add a lot of like positivity, into the world, as well. So, but yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys having me, and yeah,
All right. Well, stay on after we finish up because we're going to take a picture. But thank you for coming.
yes.
We will probably have you back later.
And likewise.
Bye.
You guys so much for listening or watching to Kind of Hot, Kind of Healthy. Please make sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share it with your. I don't know what happened there. Share this with your girlfriend who needs to hear this. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you can stream podcasts. If you have burning questions about life, friendships, health, and 1 or 2 cents, email us at kindahotpod@gmail.com. That's KINDAHOTPOD@gmail.com. Bye.
Bye.